In the Midday Silver is a book by myself that combines photography and poetry in an exploration of grief and loss, but also the rediscovery of something beyond that emerges, if you give it time. So I made most of this work while I was on a residency in Sardinia in Italy a couple of years ago. And I'd suffered a couple of quite significant losses in my family. And it was a moment when I felt completely sort of at sea, and I wasn't even sure whether I would do the residency. But I decided to go and felt it was a good opportunity to sort of process all my feelings and, really think about everything. And so I did a lot of writing and photographing and thought I was making one body of work. But as we know, it's often not the way. And towards the end of the residency, some of the other participants, these lovely young women, incredibly talented and inspiring women, offered to sit for me. And through that process, in making those portraits, a whole new body of work emerged. And it was such a gift and such a moment of sort of rediscovering beauty in a way. And that's where the book's title comes from. It's in the midday silver, those glimmers of hope, literal and metaphorical, that I was discovering at the time, that really enabled me to reconnect and to feel alive again. And I'm so grateful to them for that, and for that whole experience. It was just magical. But when I got home, in a really distinct way each time. Each project is given the same amount of love and attention and individual care. And that's one of the joys that I've discovered in collaborating with them. And I knew that when I was making this work, that a book was what I had in mind, and that I was really, really hoping that I'd be able to do something with that. So, super excited to be working with them again. Such a extraordinarily talented group of women. But this book, it didn't come easy to me, for a long time. And I think this is sort of interesting to think about when you think about the process of creativity, because, for a long time, for like a good 6 months, I did not want to engage with the work. I really resisted it. I felt it was a departure for me, but could not understand why I was procrastinating quite so much, until it struck me one morning, oh, right, yeah, you're procrastinating, or you're not dealing with this because it's really hard. And that was such a revelation and a big unlock for me, and really gave me permission to allow myself to struggle a little bit. And I think that can be something that can be a real gift, I think, because there's such an expectation today that everything is super fast and easy. And, you see these sort of finished products on Instagram or what have you, and it looks like someone just mastered that in 10 minutes, whereas in fact, it's a lifetime of learning. And so for me, this whole process has been a real sort of affirmation that this is about, it's about living a creative life. There's no winning, there's no end game. There's no moment where you're going to say, "Oh, I'm done." You know, it's the journey and the sort of the problem solving. And that's what, you know, that's what a book is, really. It's a series of problems that you're solving, and encounters between text and image, between materiality and vision and idea, between all these things that we get to tinker with to create this sort of new body of work that is sort of distinct in its combination. You know, you have the photographs and you have the images, and then together they make something altogether new. And that for me is the joy that I experience doing this work, is that every day I get to sort of play with these associations and uncouple these meanings and present new puzzles to the reader. And that, you know, that keeps me, you know, permanently sort of engaged and enthralled with the creative life and with bookmaking in particular.